Hello, good evening, good morning, and every other time. Hello, how are we doing? I'm just finishing up getting set up, folks, and then we will get started. Pull the mic a little bit closer to me. Hello, and people are just coming in. That's cool. I'm going to set up over here on my laptop so I can see what's going on. And then we'll get started. Make sure that everything is set and everything is ready. Looking good over there. All right, folks. Well, a very good evening. Skip says, "Dog, get me a beer." Yeah, settle in for the show, guys. I do apologize that the show is a little later than you guys were thinking it would be. That is entirely my fault. I forgot that Central Daylight Time is now in place. Yeah, completely forgot all about that. So I'm sorry about that. So we're starting at 7 p.m. instead of 6. Yeah, my fault. Sorry about that, guys. So, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you've had a good week. I've had a mixed week. Just Bob says, update, chat playback is up and running for video playback. Yes, I noticed that. I have finally got it. I do beta test for YouTube. And I thought it was going to be available last week. Sorry, the week before. I thought it was going to be available, but last week it was. So it's cool, and it looks good, and it's almost as good as actually being at the live show. Not that I'm saying you should miss the live show, because the more people we have, the better. And I'm noticing that picture is not necessarily great quality tonight. It certainly started off all right, but it's maybe a little bit grainy. So I hope everyone is well and you've all had a good week. My week has been mixed, bit of a mixed bag. I've got some things that we absolutely must talk about. I've got some announcements to make and some news to bring to you, which kind of directly affects what I'm doing here. So those things are going to be important for you guys to pay attention to. What else have I got to say on that? Yeah, I'll get into the details in just a minute. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to come in. Let's see who we got so far. We have MJN Studios, my good friend Mike Neighbor, and Skip Jones, who is he is a legend in his own lifetime. He is here, and Just Bob is here. Stephen Greenwood and Robert Overbeek says daylight savings time. Yes, I had forgotten all about it, but don't worry. I know that it is in operation all the way through until November the 2nd. I think it is. Yeah, because I was looking at it earlier and realized, oopsie. Sorry, November 4th. Yes. I went and checked. There's a website called timeanddate.com, which is where I get all of my time details from, because I work with people all around the world in different time zones, and date and time most of the time keeps me right. But on this occasion, I had forgotten all about daylight saving. So you guys are now 5 hours behind me, which means it is 7 minutes past 7 in that time zone, which is cool. So that means that my shows will be for me anyway, this doesn't really affect you too much. But my shows, to keep with starting at 6 p.m. on Sundays, my shows will be starting at 11 p.m. UK and Central Europe time. It's the same. And my plan is that next week we will do a 2-hour special. So if you are up for spending 2 hours listening to me and answering your questions and listening to me basically just ramble and rant, then be here next Sunday. And the plan is, as I say, to do a 2-hour special. And if you guys like the 2-hour long show, then maybe we might do some more of those 2-hour long shows a bit more regularly until the end of the summer. So that would be kind of what I'm currently thinking. So that's kind of the first thing to get out of the way. Let's see. Trying to see what the chat is saying. Yeah, it's 7:08 in Central Time, according to this website, which would be about right. Dear Crete Audio is here, and he says 7 p.m. Central Time, like same time today. No, it will be at 6. I like to try and keep my streams happening at the same time every week so that you guys can basically, you can schedule it. You can go, yep, we know Jonny has his stream at 6 p.m. and pretty much I will change according to your daylight savings time and mine. So as our daylight savings times change and move, I'm going to try and keep it so that it is always 6 p.m. regardless of what that means for you, regardless of what that means for me, regardless of what the actual time interval between you guys and me is. And the interesting thing is I am always going to be in your future. Because for me, it's midnight. For you guys, it's 7 o'clock in the evening. So, yeah. Anyway, Skip says we don't schedule, we schedule. Yeah, well, that's because you say it wrong. There's a reason why there's a C in there. And it's a French word anyway. So there you go. Just to stir the pot a little bit. All right. So yeah. So the whole shows thing, that's news item number 1. News item number 2 is that I think I've talked about the fact that we are planning to move out of this. Pardon my French, says Skib. I think we've talked about that we've always had a plan to move out of this property that we're in at the moment. It's a rented flat. My kids are getting older. My son just turned 6. So the kids need their own space, so we need a bigger place to live. So we were looking at moving in the summertime. Maybe sort of like August, maybe late July, beginning of August, before the kids have to go back to school at the end of the summer vacation. So that was kind of our general plan, and we were kind of just generally beginning to just start thinking about that. Well, guess what? Our landlord gave us a phone call during the week, this week. I said, I have something very important I need to talk to you guys about. Can I come round? And I said, sure. When do you want to do that? And he says, how about tomorrow? Okay. I don't know what he's going to talk about. But I was, something inside me just kind of like, I was alarmed a little bit. So I said, all right, can you give me the headlines so that I kind of know roughly what we're going to be talking about so that there aren't any surprises? Being that I'm autistic, I'm not a fan of surprises particularly. So anyway, he said, okay, here's the headline. I'm selling the house. I'm selling the flat that you're living in. Oh. That's a tiny bit of a bombshell. We weren't expecting this. So he said, so I kind of need you guys out by the beginning of May. So that's kind of like moved our timetable up massively. So it's, should we say, a little bit of a challenge. So we've started looking, and all of a sudden, I have this. I had everything planned out for the next several months, uh, and so I had all, I had plans. I was going to get all of my client work all done and all squared away before the start of the summer holiday. That was my plan. Now I have 2 months to get it all done instead of 4, or whatever it is. Yeah, we're in March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, 4 months. So instead of having 4 months, I now have two, just under 2 months. So yeah, it's kind of like 6 weeks, and I've got to get 4 months worth of client work done in 6 weeks, including two 12-song records that I'm mixing and mastering, and I'm playing on. I'm playing bass, and I'm playing some keyboards, and I'm doing some backing vocals, and another one which I'm mixing and mastering, but I'm playing alto sax on just one song. Funny story about that, by the way, that second album, is that I'm a very bad sax player. I'm not good. Okay. But me and this particular client who came around to my studio, we're having a jam, and I decided to get my sax out and just have a little blow over some chord changes of playing on the guitar. And he said, "I really like your tone." I was just like, "Are you tone deaf?" My sax tone sounds like a cow trying to pass a German stick grenade. No, I don't have a good tone, but he likes it, and he wants me to play on one of the songs. So there it is. So yeah, so I've got to try and get all of this work done in 6 weeks and pack down the studio. So, but the biggest challenge really is finding a place that A, we can afford, and we can't really afford very much, and B, that is going to give us all the space we need, including a studio space. So I kind of need at least a room this size, but I prefer it if it's a little bit bigger. But we'll see about that. Skip says, "Tell your landlord he's a dick." I think he knows that. I think he knows he's a dick. Deer Creek says, hang on, I have to back up because it just jumped. Oh, Jazz is here. Hi, Jazz. Sorry, I missed your post. Deer Creek says, "God is going to bless you with a new space and studio sooner." Well, yeah, that would be awesome. That's going to be the challenge for us, is actually finding that space, that house, that flat, whatever it's going to be that we can afford, which, like I said, is just not, we can't really afford a lot right now. Our finances are far too stretched as it is. Dear Creek says, "These things happen for a reason. You'll get this move behind you quicker and will realize the blessing this summer." I totally feel that. Well, Dear Creek, I appreciate your confidence and I appreciate your encouragement very much. And can I just say, those of you on my stream at this point who are praying people and they believe God answers prayers, as I do, I would definitely appreciate your prayer support. Absolutely. If you could be praying for us, praying that God would provide and lead us to that particular place, that particular house, whatever it may be that we can afford. And yes, better internet. Skip says, "You'll be free of the landlord's crappy internet. Think of the bright side." Yeah. Well, actually, to tell the truth, we went and looked at a place this weekend. Actually, we looked at this. It was a really nice house. Now, here's the problem with this really nice house. The problem is, it's a little bit far away, a little bit out of town. And it would mean my wife would have to commute for over half an hour to get to work every day. And she has a very, very high stress job. She's a community midwife. It's a very demanding, very, very unrelenting, unforgiving job, which she is extremely good at. She is very gifted at it, but it's very challenging, and it means long hours. So the commute is going to kind of add to that, which I don't really want. So it would be really great. And the other thing about this other place is that it would mean that the kids would have to move schools. So it would be new house, new schools for the kids, and everything would be new and new extra, journey and journey time onto the day. So, but it is a nice house. So, yeah, just those of you that pray, please pray for us. Please pray that God, just keeps filling us with His peace, and just pray that we find that place that's going to be ideal for us. That's going to give me good studio space. That's going to give the kids the space that they need as they're getting older, and would also be not too far away for my wife. We found a place in a little town just this side of Edinburgh called Pennycook, which we are I'm gonna contact the leasing company tomorrow and see if that's a good one, and see if it's a good option. It kind of looks good. The photos from the property, they look pretty good, so we're thinking this might be a good option. But yeah, so that's what we need. That's kind of like the big thing, is the fact that we're moving. For a variety of reasons, and Skip knows one or two of those reasons that we can't talk about. The timing's not necessarily that brilliant, but there we go. Let's see. Kevin says, praying now for your needs. Kevin, you are a dude. Thank you. Thank you. And Just Bob says, prayers sent. Thank you. Lorenz is here. He says, hi, everyone. Good to see you, Lorenz. Deer Creek says, Johnny, think of this as an exciting time limit, sure, but think of a chance to change in your life and what you don't like now. Yeah, well, you know what? The place that we went to see on Saturday, although it's further out of town, it is in a fiber optic area, which means we would have broadband like faster than I've ever known in my life. Now, to you guys, you're probably going to go, that's so slow. But really, compared to what I have now, it's fast. It's a lot faster than what I have now, because I checked. One of the things you can do is you can see if there is fiber optic connections on that street, and there is, which means my bandwidth will go from just under 900 kilobytes per second. It will go to, what did it say it was? I think it's 25 megabits per second, which means I can do much more high quality streaming, and my picture won't freeze like it is now, and won't get all pixelated, and you won't get aliasing in the audio. Hopefully it'll be stereo rather than mono, and I am hopeful that I might even be able to get OBS working. At the moment, I can't even get that working for making videos. So I might have to find a different piece of software for streaming, but we'll see. So that's kind of like that big piece of news there that I just wanted to get out there, and keep you guys in the loop of. Let's see. Deer Creek says you'll have to buy a hat if we get better resolution. What, for my forehead, or for kind of like the receding hairline? Ah, dear. Skip says, broadband is faster than carrier pigeon, I hear. You know what? My current broadband speed is probably about the same speed as a carrier pigeon. But hopefully, in a new place, it will have much faster broadband, both up and down. That'd be great. Let's see. I'm going to go up and see what I miss. Deer Creek says, the best thing that happened in my life I didn't even see beforehand. You may not see things now, but God has a way. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I have had such experiences as well. He also says, if you don't change like music, you live on a plateau. Prayer sent. Thank you so much. Skip says, just don't move to California. You know what? I could never afford to move to the United States. Just couldn't do it. And I think my own stream is buffering here. So I hope it's not buffering for you guys. But I've got it buffering at this end. But I'm going to carry on regardless. Sorry. Don't know why. Complete strange sounds came out of my mouth. I don't know why that happened. Robert Overbeek says, maybe take the family to see the opening showing of Paul, the Apostle of Christ, before the Chaos Moving. I've heard that is very, very good, by the way. And Paul is one of my heroes. So, yeah, maybe. Skip says not buffering. And I'm looking over at my crappy little laptop, and it looks like it's going there. It's just on my somewhat faster studio computer. It is streaming. It is streaming. It is streaming. It is buffering. It's about 10 seconds behind, at least. Oh, dear. Okay, I'm going to actually refresh my own stream here. Yeah, still buffering. Unfortunately, that kind of means that I'm going to be out of step with the chat, and I'm going to try not to be. So I'm going to have to look at the chat over on the other screen, I think, and not worry about it on the big screen. Your studio computer is handling more chores. Well, actually, the only thing it's handling at the moment is Chrome. I don't have Studio One open at the minute. And I'm not downloading anything at the moment either. But you guys are saying it's okay, which is fine. If it's okay, it's okay. I will ignore what it's doing here. I will just keep going. All right, so that's big announcement numero uno. And Don Prue is here. Good to see you, Don. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And Pat Fleck is here as well. And MGN says, I think it might be time to start a GoFundMe for Johnny's move. I could never ask you guys to do that. I absolutely couldn't. But it's a very kind thought, and I really do appreciate it. But yeah, I could not ask you to do any such thing, but neither would I stop anybody from doing such a thing. I just wouldn't ask for it. And N/N, you know what, Mr. N/N, I'm going to have to ask you what that means. I've always been a little bit curious about what that means. I know N/A means not applicable, but I don't know what N/N means. It's a cool little name for your channel anyway. Skip says your studio computer is processing the video stream, which is an additional chore than the Lappy. Yeah, probably actually. Yeah, probably right. And maybe there's a little bit of a bottleneck between upload and download. It's entirely possible. And it could be my wife is actually using her phone connected to the internet, which will be taking some bandwidth away. Skip says, dog, where's that beer? I just love that you have your dog go fetch you a beer. That's such a great thought. We don't have a dog. We have a goldfish called Cornelius, and he's great. He's hilarious. Anyway, he's actually a bit of a rock and roll fish. We put like new ornaments and things into his tank fairly regularly, and they're in there, and I can guarantee you within 30 seconds he has trashed the place. Deer Creek says Guinness. Isn't that a local beverage for you? Guinness is made in Ireland, or at least it originates in Ireland. I'm not quite sure where they manufacture it now. Whether it's still strictly manufactured in Ireland or not, I don't know. But we have a beer here in Edinburgh called made by a company called Innocent Gun. And I do believe you get Innocent Gun in the United States as well. And I wholeheartedly recommend it. Woodby says, trust me, I tried to help JL, but I will donate soon. How many have donated? Woodbeast, you are a legend. You really are, mate. And I really do very much appreciate all of your help and all of your support. You have been fantastic to me, and you know it. So, okay, n/n says, none of your nuzziness. Joking, it means no name in Spanish. Of course it does. I should have worked that one out. Of course, yes, I do speak Spanish, at least a little. Skip says goldfish are cool. They don't bark, but they won't fetch the paper. Yeah, they do have a tendency to make a mess of their tanks, though. Dickory says frat houses eat goldfish, or was that the old days? I have no idea. I don't think we have frat houses here in the UK, particularly. Different kind of tradition, maybe. Maybe somewhere like Oxford or Cambridge you have frat houses, but most university, at least the university I went to, no, we didn't have that kind of thing. Goldfish poop a lot. Yeah, you're not kidding. Good grief. They have a real talent for it, so you have to be careful not to overfeed them, because if you overfeed them, they overpoop. It gets very messy very quickly. So, have I dealt with announcement number 1? Yes, announcement number 1 we have dealt with. Announcement number 2 is, do you know what? I've actually forgotten what announcement number 2 was. I should have written all of this down. That would have been smart, wouldn't it? Because just goes to show I don't really plan these. Announcement number 2 actually is to do with what I've talked about a fair bit recently, just kind of giving you the drip feed. So not only are we moving, and there's going to be a change of studio environment, so what you see coming, you know, the camera is pointing out will eventually be different. But also my website is getting a complete redesign and an overhaul, because it was a little bit old. And not only was it a little bit old, but we are also preparing for the VIP members area. And actually, we're not too far away from being ready. I can't give you a date yet, but we're getting very close. And it's getting pretty exciting. I've had a look at what's going on behind the scenes, and I'm very excited by what is going to come in the next I guess next few weeks. I don't really know. I can't really give you an exact date, and I don't really want to put anybody under pressure behind the scenes who are doing all the designing for me and everything else. Don't want to put them under too much pressure, but to say that it is coming very, very, very soon. And I'm really excited by it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. And it's going to give you guys a lot more content than I put up on my YouTube channel. And the website, the website at the moment is a little bit kind of like of a placeholder. It's kind of like a place where I say, this is how much I charge for my services. And I also put up my videos on there. So it's a little bit of a placeholder. But with the redesign, the modus operandi of the website is going to change fundamentally. So you will see a lot more content go up there, not just videos, but I will be writing some articles as well. I'm putting up some pieces, and I'm going to do some series of articles and all of that kind of fun stuff. But the big change for the website is the VIP members area. That is going to be awesome. And in there will be a whole bunch of exclusive content that will not be on the main website, will not be on my YouTube channel, will not be on Facebook or anywhere else. It's going to be exclusive to you guys. There will be exclusive live streams just for the VIP members, where we will go into a lot more detail on some very specific topics, which I'm starting to think about. And I'm drawing up a list of topics that we are going to go through and things that I can teach, things that I can demonstrate, which will hopefully lead to some really good discussion points. Whoopi says, hopefully you have website design help. They can get pricey, but there are so many ways to keep costs down. I do have some help. Yep, absolutely. Lowen says new studio also calls for new piece of gear. Oh, Mr. Lowens, you are a prophet, my friend. At the moment, I cannot tell you what new pieces of gear are coming to the studio, but there are some new pieces of gear coming to the studio. And I will, when the time is right and I'm allowed to, I will let you guys have a look at the new pieces of gear. Just Bob says monthly payments or yearly subscription. Now, here's the thing. I think at the moment we are going to be just monthly payment only, certainly in the beginning. But I am looking at the possibility that we can give some choice. I need to talk to my web guy later on, actually, and see if it's going to be possible, whether we can do both monthly payments and yearly subscriptions as well. Because it would be great if I could give some people some choice where they could just pay once a year rather than every month. Deer Creek says SSL. No, I'm not getting an SSL console. I wish. But you know what? At the same time, I say I wish. The other thing is I also don't wish, because they are extremely expensive to maintain, and they're not just expensive in terms of money to maintain, they're expensive in terms of time to maintain as well. Just go and ask my good friend Warren Hewitt. He'll tell you. So Skip says DCA. I'm not sure what that means, Skip. Deer Creek says Presonus needs a total beta tester across the pond, 32 live, faderboard 16 quantum, etc. I do believe there are some beta testers across the pond already. I'm not going to mention names. And I'm not necessarily going to answer the question directly either. Deer Creek also says large format consoles are a pain. Yes, they most certainly are, but they make a fantastic sound and they are great to mix on. I've mixed on an SSL and it was a delight to mix on, but yes, they are a pain. Robert says, will the VIP site be directed more towards the experienced, or will the content be understood and beneficial for beginners as well? That is a great question, and the answer is yes and yes. So the VIP site will be directed to experienced people, and also there will be a lot of content for beginners as well. I don't want to exclude anybody. I don't want people to rule themselves out of becoming VIPs on experience in mixing, mastering, music production alone, okay? Because I think that's just wrong, frankly. So there will be content for intermediates, there'll be content for advanced folks, and there will be plenty of content for beginners as well, and everything else in between. I intend to stretch everybody. So the folks that are advanced, I intend to give them content that is going to stretch them and test them and get them growing and developing in their craft, as much as the content that I give to beginners is going to have the same benefits. You know, it's going to be the kind of content that will challenge you, that will stretch you, that will help you develop your craft and get up into the intermediate bracket quicker. Because, you know, nobody wants to stay a beginner like forever. So, but that is a great question, Robert. And Just Bob says that that is the case as well. So, no name n/n says, hey, talking about gear, have you seen that new soft to try on the Weiss gear emulation? I would love it if they bring the EQ one from that company. Yeah, that Weiss thing is for mastering is pretty cool. I've seen it in action. I've not actually used it myself, but I have seen it in action, and it looks awesome, and it sounds just as awesome. Dickery says, I grew up on large format consoles from custom made to whatever. To my 65-year-old ears, the mixer in PreSonus sounds just fine with a handful of plugs. No tape hiss, nasty crackly crosstalk. I quite agree with you. I quite agree with you. I do like crisp, clean, digital audio. I really do. But at the same time, there are some benefits to analog as well that I like to have in my mixes, which is why I use things like the Waves SSL console emulations, because there are certain aspects of the SSL that sounds gorgeous. I love the sound of the SSL console. I just don't like all the fact that you have to do all that maintenance work on it. And I don't like the fact the noise floor is just that little bit higher up. But, in the digital domain, they're certainly in a 32-bit floating system like Studio One, noise floor is practically irrelevant. So, but yeah, I do like SSL emulations, and I do use them. I use them pretty much in every mix. Deer Creek says, but I do stick my bass instruments on track one, though, for old time's sakes. Yeah, I know what you mean. I absolutely know what you mean. Deer Creek says, my useless opinion, if you want warmth, color, etc., all that garbage, get it going in. You know what? I'm inclined to agree with that. Print that stuff to the track. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. And then kind of go digital in terms of mixing and mastering after that. Yeah, you know what? I'm inclined to agree with that to some degree. Yeah. So announcement number 1 was about moving. Announcement number 2 was just an update on where we're at with the website and building the VIP area and all of that. And I'm going to come back to what the other announcement was, because it's still lost in my brain somewhere. It's probably playing tennis with a tortoise or something at the moment in the back of my head. I don't know. So, all right. Whilst I'm trying to sort out what that other announcement is, let's kind of get to your questions, because it's 20 to 1 in the morning, and I don't want to overrun too much, if at all avoidable. If we could finish round about the midnight time, my time, that would be cool. But I will allow for at least a little bit of overrun if the questions are coming thick and fast. Let's see. Deer Creek Audio says, my patch bay is now about 45 years old. Came out of Glenn Campbell's favorite studio. My wires had many of his hits going through them. Wow. That's awesome. And he says, hasn't helped me though. Yeah, which kind of goes again to prove that, it's less about the gear and more about your craft and your skill set. That's key to being a great mix, getting a great mix. I could walk into Abbey Road Studios, and I've been there, and I could sit down at one of their custom-made red consoles, and I could mix one of my songs on that console. And you know what? It probably would not sound like a Beatles record. It just wouldn't. I could mix on one of their TG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s as well, and it still wouldn't sound like a Beatles record, or any other great band that's recorded there and had their songs mixed there. It just wouldn't, because at the end of the day, it's my skills, it's my craft, and That's what it is. And if my skills and my craft are not up to the same standard as the guys at Abbey Road, then I'm not going to get that famous Abbey Road sound. I may get, kind of like maybe a little hint at it, but I'm not, because of the gear. The gear that's used will give me maybe a little hint of the sound, but really, if I really want to nail that Abbey Road sound, it has to be the way I mix and the way I master through that gear. Skip Jones says, agreed. I always plug the same instruments into the same inputs regardless of interface for tracking. Yeah, me too. It just keeps things easy to visualize, and I can move them later in the DAW if I choose. Yes, absolutely. Dear Creek says, just my wires have mojo. It ends there. And we've got 21 people in here. Wow. Okay, I'm going to take a little pause here, and I'm going to say, to every single one of you, 21 people that are watching me right now, a huge thank you for coming and a huge thank you for watching. And I hope that what we're talking about here is helping and is giving you ideas. If you've not posted in the chat, please do. Please say hello at the very least. Even if you don't have a question to ask and you just, you're quite happy to see what other people are asking and listening to the answers and that kind of stuff and listening to the chat. If that's what you're here for, that's great. I absolutely love you guys coming in and sitting in on this broadcast. But yeah, feel free, even if it is just to say hello, just post in the chat so that I can give you a personal hello back. Okay? Studio Dude 1, I'll get it in the right order, says, sorry off topic, but do you know when Johnny Gaiva is back? I believe he is back already. Bobby Booth says, plus you're not the Beatles either. Yes, exactly. I am not the Beatles. The Beatles were from Liverpool. I am from Scotland. And I'm a jazz guy, and they most certainly were not. So there you go. Skip says, only 9 likes, though. Yeah, absolutely, folks. If you are watching, hit that like button. Even if you are watching now and you're immediately going to go off and do something else, please hit the like button on your way out. That would be great. Don Prue says, you're welcome, Johnny. And I think I missed something from Woodbeast. I saw it just jump up. JL says, check your cruise ship for the idea. Oh, right. Okay, gotcha. I will do that. Just Bob says, so how come some studios seem to be praised over others? Muscle Shoals spelled wrong. Abbey Road. What makes them more popular than others? Never been in any studio. Oh, thank you, Studio Dude 1. He says 10 now. You're welcome. And it's just popped up to 11. So thank you guys for the likes. I appreciate it. Why are these studios more praised than others? Well, there's a lot of different variables and factors that go in to what makes a great studio a great success and the kind of place where people just go, you know what, we have to record there. Which is why a lot of film scores, where do they get recorded? Abbey Road or at Angel Studios, which is just, it's the other side of London. Abbey Road is kind of a little bit more central-ish, whereas Angel Studios is very much in the east side of London. And I have performed in both studios. And you know what? I can tell you what the reason is. The reason is the people that staff it, the people that run it, the people that make it work. That's why Abbey Road is so good. It's because you have the best, most talented recording engineers, and you have the best maintenance team in the world who know all the ins and outs of all the microphones that they have. And some of those microphones at Abbey Road date back to, the 1940s, and they're still working and they're still capturing great audio. And those recording engineers, they know each one of those microphones intimately. They know every cable. They know every transistor, every resistor, every capacitor. They know all the ins and outs of the consoles. and they know how they work, and they know all of the outboard gear and how they work, and they are extremely skilled, and they are really, really great people. The folks at Abbey Road in particular are the most down-to-earth people I know in the business. You know, they are highly skilled, they are highly professional, but they are the friendliest people in the business. You know, the times I've been there, playing on a film score, I've walked in, and the first thing they do is um they direct you to where the canteens are and where the green rooms are, so that you can get tea, coffee, you can park all your stuff, that kind of thing. Because you know what, particularly for film scores, when you're not needed in a certain queue, you're in the green room and you're hanging out with whomever is not needed for that particular queue, or you're in the control room. Like occasionally I would go into the control room because I like hanging out in control rooms, and I'd get to see the recording engineers at work and whoever the composer is of the film score at work. Skip says it's not just the gear and the studio, but you're booking time with professional staff that know how to squeeze out hits. Yes, absolutely. I think I missed something up here as well. S. Sweeney says, hello, Studio 1-3 noob here, coming off of the sonar disaster. Good to see you, Mr. S. Sweeney. I really appreciate you coming. And yeah, the sonar disaster. That is a subject for an entire another live stream. But I'm very pleased to hear that they are going to be okay. There's a new company on board, and a lot of that company have hired back the development staff who were made redundant. So hopefully it's not going to be too long before, you know, development gets back up to speed on sonar. It'll be interesting to see what the future is, because I mean, as much as there's a new company involved, the future is probably still to some degree uncertain. But we're very glad that you're here, and we're very glad that you're getting into Studio One, because Studio One is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go back down. Yeah, jury's still out on BandLab. Yeah, you're quite right. Dickory says, so you're at Abbey Road, so Paul walks in and says, hey, need some piano or bass? Who says, no, not me. Yeah. Here's the funny thing. The times that I went to Abbey Road, and I think I've been and I've recorded there maybe half a dozen times. So, you know, 5-6 times I've been there. And yes, actually, funnily enough, I did expect Sir Paul to walk in at any particular time. But no, he didn't. Yeah, on all, you know, probably cumulatively, it's probably been about 8-9 weeks in total that I have been in terms of time actually spent at Abbey Road. And no, he didn't walk in. Wish he did, but no, he didn't. But the other thing I know about Sir Paul is that pretty much for the most part, if he's working on a tune of his, he likes to play bass on his own tunes. Roland is going to buy BandLab. Really? Wow. Deer Creek, I would love it if you could let me know what the source for that is. I know you can't post a URL, but maybe if you could Facebook message me or email me what that source is, that'd be cool. Let's see. Just Bob says, I get that. Would love to say I recorded at those places. So it's more of a mix of equipment and engineers, legacy and tech versus flash. Yeah, it's more, to be honest, it's much more about the people that operate that studio and the rooms. The rooms are amazing. Every one of those studios is amazing. Oh, Roland BandLab is a joke. Okay, gotcha. Roland failed before Gibson did. Yes, sadly. But yeah, it's the rooms. The rooms are amazing for recording in. They really are. And orchestras in particular just sound incredible in those rooms. Whether it's in Studio One or Studio Two, they sound great. They're amazing. Those rooms, love them. Uh, so yeah, so it's the rooms, it's the engineers, both the recording engineers and the mixing engineers, and the maintenance staff, the guys that look after and tend to all of the gear, and they do that with like a real passion. They are in love with that gear, and they treat them like they're their wives. But yeah, there's a real creative atmosphere when you're in Abbey Road. And it's not just the legacy of the place. The legacy of the place is incredible because, incredible bands have made incredible music there. But, a lot is invested in those studios. And actually, I own a tiny, tiny, tiny little part of Abbey Road Studios. Because there was a time in the early part of the 21st century when so maybe like 16, 17 years ago, there was a period where Abbey Road was in danger of going bust. And so they had this drive whereby you could invest in Abbey Road. So I did. I put in £150 into Abbey Road, which bought me a tiny little part of it. And yeah, I could cash that in anytime I want, as that £150 investment grows and develops and becomes something a little bit bigger, I could cash it in, but I'm not going to. Only if, there is danger that, something serious happens to Abbey Road, then maybe that would be a different story. But to be honest, I'm invested in Abbey Road for the long haul because I really enjoyed my time playing there the few times that I did. So yeah. Deer Creek says plus $1 million of acoustic treatment for those drums. I would say there's probably $2 or $3 million worth of acoustic treatment in each of the rooms. This is the thing. This is the thing, right? Invest in the quality of your captures, your recordings. If you do that, if you invest all of your money in the upfront sound, when it comes to mixing in your studio, when it comes to mixing will be a breeze. It'll be a lot easier. So treat your rooms. Position your mics in the optimum place for your rooms. I'm not saying you necessarily have to go out and spend, $1,000 on a microphone. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is invest in the upfront sound before you've hit the record button. Make sure that you've got a reasonably good mic, something over $150. Make sure you've got high quality cables for your mics. Because the last thing you need is bargain bucket $10 cables, because they will be noisy as hell and they will destroy even the best recording. So make sure you have a reasonably good mic, and high quality cables going into a good interface. And then the rest becomes a lot easier. Does that mean you need to have lots of outboard gear like compressors and expensive preamps? No, it doesn't. What it does mean is that you work at a standard of gear that is commensurate with your ability to capture the recording. So, if you are a beginner, then no, you don't need expensive gear. If you are at the other end of the scale and you're in Tom Lord Alge or Chris Lord Alge or Andrew Shep's kind of, skill set, then, the same thing applies. You don't need to have incredibly expensive gear. You don't. But your skill set might well be that you are so good at getting great captures that you It's then about your taste. It's then about your finesse. It's then about the fine elements that you know, set you apart. That is your signature sound. Like Chris Lord Alge has a signature sound. Andrew Sheps has a signature sound. Sylvia Massey, she has a signature sound. So really, it's about get gear that is going to be at the level that you're working at and get the best out of them. Know them intimately. I mean, that's the thing about the guys at Abbey Road. They know their gear. They know it intimately. You know, they talk about preamps as if they're members of their family. So Sean Aaron, who is here, hey Sean Aaron, good to see you. He says it's like photography, but your image is the sound. Exactly. Dickory says, that said, I recorded at Longview's farm in the 80s. The drums were in a horse barn with no treatment. Marshall amps outside with a 57 on the grill. Close miking, didn't need treatment back then. Yeah. If you know your microphones, and if you know the type of space that you're recording in, and you know how to get the best out of that space, and your skills are such that you can do that, then, you know, you have every possible option open to you. What's my favorite mic for recording vocals between $300 and $400 or pounds? And I know it's really difficult to say, but it has to suit the singer. But I just want your opinion. Yeah, matching the microphone to a vocalist is, yeah, it's a tough one. It is really a tough one. To be honest, in that $300 to $400 range, you're still talking about an all-round performer microphone. You know, you're talking about a microphone that is going to capture most different types of voices, most different ranges, most different registers, most different tonalities, and, you know, kind of like frequency response. That's kind of the microphones you're talking about. Personally, I use this one. This is the Rode NT1A, which is a very inexpensive mic, but everybody loves it because it's a great all-round large capsule condenser microphone, and most people's voices sound really good on it. I used to use a Behringer C1, which is a super cheap microphone, but is actually pretty good. Did it match my voice 100%? No, not entirely, as I found out on my EP Belonging to Tomorrow. There's certainly in terms of my voice through that microphone, there's a big bump around 300 to 400, which I found I needed to cut quite a bit. Robert Overbeek says, does David Gilmour use Abbey Road? The Pink Floyd did use Abbey Road. That's definitely true. But I think David Gilmour has he has a boat on the River Thames that he records in. I believe that's the case. And yeah, Deer Creek Audio says he has a boat now. Yes. Big personal boat. Yeah, it's a barge. And that's because David Gilmour is passionately mad about barges that go up the Great British Canal System. And he loves that kind of thing. And I think he even lives on the boat as well. So there you go. So yeah, so my personal opinion about microphones between $300 and $400. NT1A, NT1 is a good option. Let me see. Let me think for a minute. No barges in the USA. Nice boats. Yeah, you guys don't have canals. We do. Canals, if you don't know what they are basically a river system. They're kind of like highways for except they are waterways, basically. Is essentially what they are. And we have a system of locks that means you can go uphill and you can go downhill without going like too fast. So yeah, and we have those most of the way across the whole of the United Kingdom. It's entirely possible, I think it's entirely possible, that you can get all the way from Edinburgh to London on the canal network. It'll take you about 3 weeks to do it because you're only going about 5 miles an hour, but it's extremely worth it. I would love to do it, actually. So yeah, so I hope that answers your question about microphones. I use the Rode NT1A. I'm a relatively recent convert to it. Another mic that you might consider would be there's a company called Aston Microphones based here in the UK, and they make really good microphones. They have a microphone called the Origin, which is supposed to be extremely good. What else would I suggest? The Aston Spirit is also very good. That it has multiple polar patterns. The Audio Technica, the 80-20-20 is another good option. The Roswell Mini K47, I think that might actually be a little bit out of that $300 to $400 price range, but they have extremely good reviews, actually, the Roswell mics, but I don't think you can get them in the UK yet, which is a shame because I'd love to get my hands on one. Okay, we're coming up at 1 o'clock, so I'm going to take maybe the last couple of questions now. We are down to 19 people, but that's okay. SE Electronics is another company, actually, that just popped into my head. They've got a good selection of mics you can check out. S. Sweeney says, mics never can have enough. SE Electronics have some affordable options. There you go. That's confirmation right there. Appreciate that. So yeah, I'm going to take the last couple of questions now, and then we will wrap this show up, which has been a bit of a muddle. Sorry about that. Thanks, Johnny says MJN, bedtime for this old guy. Really? That's an early night for you. Deer Creek says, Johnny, got to feed my puppies. Good luck with the house hunting. God will make a way. You know what? Thank you so much for that encouragement. I really appreciate that, Deer Creek. That's incredibly cool. Yes, I agree with you. God will make a way. Absolutely. N/N says, I actually was thinking about getting the SE Electronics mics. Well, go for it. Yeah, they're really good. If you get the chance to go into a store where you can actually try one out, then try one out and, let them see if they'll record your voice or something. MJN says that you get up at 5 a.m. Of course, that's right. You drive buses, and I think you drive school buses, don't you? Skip says, I go to bed at 5 a.m. Thank you, Skip. S. Sweeney says, what kind of latency do you get with Studio One 3? Depends upon your computer, depends upon your interface, as much as anything else. With Studio One 3, certainly since Studio One 3.5, which was released earlier last year, I think it was May. The guys at Persona Software over in Hamburg have done a great lot of work on improving the performance of Studio One in terms of its latency management. So they came up with this thing called the low latency monitoring path, which means that slower computers can get access to lower latency than they have ever had before in Studio One. And it's a great little system. It's really, really good. If you have a Quantum, you are going to get super low latency. It's entirely possible, actually, with a Quantum that you can get a round-trip latency of about a millisecond, which nobody is going to detect. Zenith Music Group UK says, Johnny, can you tell Joe to go record his vocals tomorrow? Cheers. Joe, if you are here, you heard it. Go record your vocals tomorrow. Glad, Zenith Music Group, glad I could pass that message on. Skip says, yes, the Quantum is crazy good. Yes, it's had some fantastic reviews, and it's really, really impressed a lot of people. And, kind of, to me, if only, Thunderbolt was easily, was easy to get hold of on a PC. Because if it was, I would love to get my hands on one. But yeah. All right, folks. So I think we're pretty much beginning to wind down and people are starting to leave, which is fine. That's cool because it is definitely that kind of time. So, and quantums can be stacked. They most certainly can. They can be daisy chained, which is very, very cool. So getting even lower latency, you could probably almost get 0 latency, I would imagine, by stacking those. So yeah, so announcements really tonight were we're moving probably in 6 to 8 weeks time. And so the result of that will be possibly that the studio will be out of action for a week or so. And the second announcement is that the VIP and the studio website overhaul is going extremely well and is going to be ready very, very soon. I'm really excited and really looking forward to being able to let you guys see it. And then really looking forward to being able to launch VIP properly so that you guys can actually start getting in and getting signed up to it if that's what you'd like. Just Bob says, we've got on your side. Everything is possible. Good luck with your house hunting. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate it. Swinny says, here in US, we set clocks back yesterday, only 4 hours behind UK this week. Yeah, I have to admit I'd forgotten that your clocks went back yesterday. Sorry about that. So you're only 4 hours behind at the moment, which is cool. Which means I can actually do my shows a little bit earlier. So that's the other thing. I think I was going to say that I'm strongly considering at the moment doing a 2-hour special next Sunday. So starting at 11 p.m. UK time and going on for 2 hours rather than the 1. So normally, I would go 12 until 1 my time, which would normally be your 6 till 7 slot. But given that that 6 to 7 slot now is for me an hour earlier, I figure I can go for an hour longer. So we could go 6 to 8 Central Daylight Time. I'm gonna have to get it right. Diego says, hi, I'm new here. What's this? This is my live stream, Diego, which we are just coming to the end of, but you are more than welcome to watch the replay, seeing as you've just arrived. Which will become available very, very shortly. Oh, and the other thing is I will be doing my show next week at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So yeah, so watch out for that. Next Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We'll be starting, and I think I'm going to do a 2-hour show. And basically, Diego, it's a place where you guys ask me all your questions to do with music production, from songwriting all the way through to mastering and digital release and all of that fun stuff. But we also cover things like music theory, harmony, melody writing, lyric writing. We cover all of those things as well. So kind of like all the nitty-gritty that goes into making your songs really cool. And that's what I cover, and that's what I teach. And you guys are in this live stream, you're able to ask questions. Plus, I will also demonstrate some stuff in Studio One as well. Like I think last week we were doing this salsa mambo thing. So go check out last week's show if you want to see kind of like a bit of what we do. He says, cool, thanks. I like it. Good. Glad to hear that. Robert Overbeek says, I'm Michigan. It went ahead 1 hour. Okay, cool. And Just Bob says, do you have clock switching like we do? And a 2-hour show would be great. Yes, we do actually, but it happens twice in the year. So it goes, I have to get this right. Because I never remember it the right way around. So we go an hour back, I think, for summertime, and then we go an hour forward for Greenwich Mean Time, which is that's like our normal time. Yeah, so summer. Yeah, Sean Owens says spring forward, full back. Yes, that'd be right. That would be right. Yeah. So we go an hour back for winter time, and springtime we go forward an hour. So yeah, we do have that. So we have British summertime, which starts in the springtime. Why they call it British summertime when it starts in springtime, I'm not sure. And then we go back to Greenwich Mean Time in the fall, in the autumn, we call it here. So there you go. Alrighty, so there we go. That's the end of the show because we're 1:15 right now. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming, and thank you for all of your wonderful, encouraging posts that you've posted in the chat there, encouraging and stirring my faith, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for that. With regard to our house hunting and our house moving, so thank you so very much. I'd love it if you could explain maybe a little bit about some types of Caribbean types of chords. Yeah, I'm just about to wrap the show, but I can certainly look at that for the next time. If you would be so kind as to give me a little reminder, you can email me at johnny@jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. If you go to my website, which is in the description below, click that link there and go to the Contact Us page, which is now working. Yay! So you can go and click that and fill out that form there with your question, and I will have a look at it, and we will include it in next week's show. Just Bob says, good night, Johnny and all the Lipsters. Just Bob, you're beginning to give me an idea of what I'm going to call my VIPs. Joe Gilder has his Vipers. Maybe I should have my Lipsters. Good night, everybody, and thanks for coming. See you later.